Chapter 1. August 1954. Snow Canyon, Utah. From his vantage point with the horses on a small hillock, Gabe Boone watched the cameras track the actor across the simmering desert floor toward the skin-draped yurt. Even with the heavy makeup around the man's eyes, no one would have mistaken him for Genghis Khan. His height, his build, his long-legged stride, they could only have belonged to one man, John Wayne. "He sure is something to see, ain't he?" drawled Curly, another wrangler on the film set. They'd been standing there holding the horses' reins going on 2 hours now. Curly was twice Gabe's age, but because of a life spent mainly on ranches and in too many bars, he looked 60. His face had been burned saddle brown by the sun and wind, his tobacco-stained teeth almost the same color. Gabe, only 22 and a non-drinker, non-chewer, flashed pearly whites. "He is that, but he don't look like no Mongol. Seen a lot of Mongols, whatever those be?" Gabe walked over to a big bay, straightened its saddle, and tried to look knowing. "Cowboys like us is what they are, from somewhere out in China. Commies?" Curly spit a disdainful wad of tobacco on the ground, barely missing his own boot. Gabe sighed. There Curly went again, seeing a commie behind every rock and cactus. You'd think he was the one left Korea minus a finger. Gabe stared down at the stump where his left forefinger had been. Curly could rave on, but as for himself, after what he'd been through over there, he didn't want to think about war, politics, or what have you. Didn't want to think about anything except settling down and raising a family. Abby wanted kids, lots of them. He did too. The sounds of kids laughing, well, wasn't that what life was all about? Curly wasn't through griping. After spitting again, this time a little further away, he said, "Damned commies, them Chinese, them Ruskies and all their stinking friends, think they can come over here and take away our horses and saddles and make us call 'em comrade. Well, we got a big ol' answer for 'em, don't we?" Gabe didn't want to hear about that either. He was sick of it. All right. The commies is devils and the rest of us is angels. Have at it, I don't care. But that Mongol Emperor Wayne's plane lived hundreds of years ago, long before Red China or that Korea mess, and I'm betting you dollars to donuts old Genghis wasn't no commie. What I was trying to tell you is that Abby and me, when we drove her dad's truck over to Los Angeles last year, we went to this Chinese restaurant on Hollywood Boulevard and met a guy who was actually born in Mongolia, and believe me, he didn't look nothing like John Wayne. Not that it matters. With the big man in the movie, it's sure to be a hit." Mood soothed. Curly jerked his head toward the actress below, a porcelain-skinned redhead who looked even less Asian than Wayne. "Miss Hayward should sell a few tickets, too. Wonder if I can get Harriet to dress up like that." At the thought of Curly's wife, with her doughy arms and massive belly, dressed in a see-through harem outfit, Gabe laughed so hard it spooked Steel, Wayne's favorite horse. Once he settled the animal down, he said, "Can't hurt to ask." Curly grunted. "There's inexperience talking." Gabe didn't bother to argue. Now that Wayne was out of sight of the cameras and his own worshipful eyes, he turned his attention elsewhere. While Steel and the other horses pawed at the hot earth in irritated boredom, he studied the scene spread out below. A mile of dusty flatland stretched out before him, encircled by tall red and white sandstone formations. Here and there, black lava boulders dappled a renegade patch of green, while above, the cloudless blue sky almost seemed to glow. Normally deserted, Snow Canyon swarmed with more than 200 Hollywood types, a dozen or so wranglers, and upwards of 300 Paiute Indians outfitted to look like Mongols. Because of their high cheekbones and weathered faces, the Paiute looked a lot more Asian than the high-priced actors. But they were all, wranglers and Indians, grateful that in the 2 months working on this movie they'd earned more than they usually saw in a year. Enough for Gabe to finish the down payment on that little ranch he and Abby had been saving up for. God bless Hollywood. It had made her smile for the first time in... "How is Abby these days?" Curly's question, coming right on top of Gabe's thoughts, startled him. Fine, I guess. That blue-eyed pup I brought over cheer her up any?" Gabe believed